Picture this. You just bought a brand new car from a legendary automaker. 6 months later, that same company announces massive layoffs, closes factories, and dealers start disappearing from your city. Your warranty? Suddenly questionable. Your resale value gone. This isn't some dystopian fantasy. It is happening right now to 5 legendary car brands that built their reputations over decades, only to watch it all crumble in just a few years. Today we're counting down 5 iconic automakers that are collapsing before our eyes, and number 1 will absolutely shock you, because on paper, they look unstoppable. But the numbers tell a very different story. Let's dive in. Number 5. Maserati. There was a time when owning a Maserati meant you'd made it. The Italian brand represented everything exotic cars should be: fast, beautiful, and exclusive. In the early 2000s, Maserati sold around 6,000 cars annually. But they wanted volume, not just prestige. They launched the Ghibli sedan in 2013 and Levante SUV in 2016. Sales exploded to over 50,000 units globally by 2017. The expansion destroyed what made Maserati special. These Italian exotics became common and unreliable. The Ghibli and Levante earned reputations as maintenance nightmares. Electrical problems, transmission failures, and build quality issues plagued early models. Owners paying $70,000 faced problems you'd expect from a $20,000 used car. The financial reality hit hard. Maserati's parent company, Stellantis, reported significant operating losses in 2022 and 2023. Sales collapsed from that 2017 peak of 50,000 units down to just 29,000 in 2023, a 42% decline. Dealers closed. Service centers became scarce. The brand that once competed with Ferrari now couldn't keep up with Cadillac. Maserati announced it is pivoting entirely to electric vehicles by 2030, abandoning its famous V8 engines. But the brand has no proven EV technology or dedicated platform, fighting for survival where Tesla, Porsche, and Hyundai have years of experience. The Grecale Folgore Electric launched with minimal fanfare and less market impact. For current owners, the risks are severe. A 2018 Ghibli that sold for $75,000 new is now worth barely $25,000. Devastating depreciation. The shrinking dealer network means finding qualified service becomes harder each year. Parts availability is already problematic, with Stellantis reportedly considering selling or shutting down the brand. Long-term warranty support is questionable at best. Number 4. Jaguar once represented British automotive excellence. The E-Type, the XJ sedan, Le Mans victories. As recently as 2018, Jaguar sold over 180,000 vehicles globally, riding high on F-Pace SUV success. Then sales collapsed dramatically. By 2023, deliveries plummeted to just 64,000 units globally, a staggering 64% decline in 5 years. In America, sales dropped from over 37,000 in 2017 to barely 7,000 in 2023. The brand effectively disappeared from U.S. roads. Dealers closed by the dozens, with survivors often sharing space with Land Rover. Jaguar's reliability remained mediocre, with J.D. Power consistently ranking them in the bottom third for dependability. Interiors used cheaper materials than German rivals. Technology lagged. Most damaging, Jaguar's identity became confused. Sporty? Luxurious? Traditional? Modern, the brand tried everything and stood for nothing. In late 2024, Jaguar announced a shocking plan: stop selling cars entirely in 2025, rebrand completely, and relaunch in 2026 as ultra-luxury electric, only with prices above $100,000. Every current model, F-Pace, E-Pace, I-Pace, I-Pace, Type, all discontinued. The brand goes dark for an entire year with 0 vehicles. For current owners, this means owning a vehicle from a brand that no longer exists in its current form. dealer networks shrink faster. Parts for discontinued models become scarcer. Resale values are in free fall because who wants an orphaned product line? A 2020 Jaguar XE that cost $45,000 new now sells for around $18,000, with prices likely dropping further as reality sinks in. Number 3. Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo returned to the United States in 2014 after 2 decades away, bringing racing heritage, gorgeous styling, and driving passion German competitors couldn't match. The Giulia Sport sedan and Stelvio SUV launched to critical acclaim. Journalists called the Giulia Quadrifoglio the best driving sports sedan available. By 2018, Alfa sold over 23,000 vehicles in the U.S., with 135 dealers nationwide. Stellantis projected 400,000 global sales by 2022. Sales peaked in 2018 and collapsed. By 2023, U.S. sales crashed to just 7,800 units, a 66% decline. Globally, Alfa sold fewer than 70,000 vehicles, nowhere near projections. Dealers closed or dropped the brand. By 2024, the dealer network had shrunk to under 80 locations, making service difficult in many regions. Reliability problems plagued the Giulia and Stelvio from day one. Electrical issues, engine problems, transmission failures became common complaints. Consumer Reports rated Alfa Romeo as one of the least reliable brands. Warranty claims were expensive and frequent. The brand's reputation for unreliability, dormant for decades, returned with vengeance. Manufacturing strategy became chaotic. Multiple announced models never materialized. The GTV sports car? Cancelled. The 8C supercar? Cancelled. A large SUV cancelled. The brand kept selling the same 2 models with minimal support. Stellantis abandoned expansion plans. In 2024, Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares openly questioned whether Alfa Romeo had a future. Reports suggested the brand could be sold, merged, or shut down. The company announced all future Alfas would be electric, despite having no EV infrastructure ready. The only new model, the Tonale plug-in hybrid, launched minimal interest, barely reaching 3,000 U.S. sales in its first full year. For Alfa owners, resale values have collapsed even faster than sales. A 2019 Giulia that cost $42,000 new struggles to fetch $18,000. The shrinking dealer network limits service options, particularly in smaller markets. Parts availability is becoming a concern beyond routine maintenance. With Stellantis uncertain about Alfa's future, long-term warranty support and parts supply are major questions. Number 2. Chrysler is practically a ghost brand. This is the company that gave America the minivan, built the 300C into a cultural icon, survived bankruptcy and multiple ownership changes. At its peak in the 1990s, Chrysler sold over 2 million vehicles annually. Today, it sells exactly 2 vehicles, the Pacifica minivan and the discontinued 300 sedan. No SUVs in an SUV-dominated market. No crossovers, no trucks, just one minivan. In 2023, Chrysler's U.S. sales were barely 130,000 units, down from over 180,000 5 years earlier. That is fewer than Genesis, Hyundai's luxury brand that only launched in 2015. Chrysler no longer has standalone dealerships. Every dealer also sells Jeep, Ram, or Dodge, because selling only Chrysler would be financially impossible. Many dealers stock Pacifica minivans in lot corners, treating Chrysler as an afterthought. The answer is decades of strategic neglect and corporate chaos. After 2008 bankruptcy, Chrysler merged with Fiat, then became part of Stellantis in 2021. Each reshuffling brought promises of investment and new models. None materialized. Stellantis repeatedly delayed, canceled, or reassigned vehicles meant to revive Chrysler. An electric crossover scheduled for 2023 was pushed to 2025, then 2026, and may never arrive. The Pacifica itself faces significant challenges. The plug-in hybrid was recalled multiple times for fire risks, damaging brand credibility in the family vehicle segment. Sales declined from 116,000 in 2018 to fewer than 100,000 in 2023. The minivan market shrinks as families migrate to three-row SUVs, and Chrysler is trapped in a dying segment with no plan B. Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares stated every brand must prove viability or face elimination. He specifically mentioned Chrysler as under review. Translation: Stellantis is openly considering shutting Chrysler down. The company announced vague plans for Chrysler to go electric by 2028, but provided no concrete roadmap, no platform details, no investment figures. For Chrysler owners, warning signs flash red. The 300 sedan is already an orphan vehicle with production ended and part supply uncertain beyond the next few years. Pacifica owners face shrinking dealers, questionable long-term support, and resale values that have cratered as buyers question whether Chrysler will exist in 5 years. A 2020 Chrysler 300, once $35,000, now sells for around $15,000. A depreciation curve reflecting zero market confidence in the brand's future. Number 1. Nissan here is where things get interesting, because Nissan still sells over 3 million vehicles globally. On paper, this looks like a healthy, thriving automaker. In the US alone, Nissan moved over 770,000 vehicles in 2023. The Rogue is one of the best-selling SUVs in America. The Altima competes with Honda Accord and Toyota Camry. So why is this legendary Japanese automaker at number 1? Because beneath those sales, Nissan faces a full-blown financial crisis most consumers don't see. The company reported operating losses approaching $2 billion in the 2023 fiscal year. Profit margins collapsed to near zero. In late 2024, Nissan announced plans to cut 9,000 jobs globally, roughly 7% of its workforce, and reduce production capacity by 20%. The CEO admitted publicly that Nissan has 2 to 3 years to turn around or face potential bankruptcy. This isn't speculation. This is management openly acknowledging existential crisis. Nissan wasn't always troubled. In the late 1990s, the company was on the brink of bankruptcy when Renault stepped in with a rescue deal, installing Carlos Ghosn as CEO. Ghosn implemented aggressive cost-cutting, streamlined operations, and led Nissan back to profitability. By the mid-2000s, Nissan was one of the healthiest Japanese automakers, launching hits like the 350Z, the Murano, and updating the Altima into a genuine Camry competitor. Then problems started. Nissan pursued volume over profit, flooding the market with heavily discounted vehicles to boost sales numbers while ignoring long-term financial health. They relied heavily on fleet sales to rental companies, the lowest margin sales in the industry. Quality control suffered badly. Nissan's reliability ratings, once competitive with Honda and Toyota, began falling. By the 2020s, Consumer Reports ranked Nissan near the bottom of mainstream brands for dependability. The product line became stale and troubled. The Rogue, Nissan's best-selling vehicle, uses a continuously variable transmission notorious for premature failure. The Altima's 2.0-liter turbocharged engine has suffered significant reliability issues, including variable compression system failures. The Frontier pickup truck went over a decade without major redesign. The Titan full-size truck has never gained traction against Ford F-150, Chevy Silverado, or Ram 1500. The Maxima, once Nissan's flagship sport sedan, was discontinued in 2023 after years of declining sales. Infinis, Nissan's luxury brand, has become an even bigger disaster. In 2024, Infinis sold fewer than 46,000 vehicles in the United States, a catastrophic number for a luxury brand. Many Infinit models share platforms, engines, and transmissions with Nissan's troubled mainstream vehicles, meaning they inherit the same reliability problems, but with luxury repair costs. The QX50 uses the same problematic variable compression engine as the Altima. Predictably, reliability has been poor and sales have collapsed. Nissan's electric vehicle strategy has failed spectacularly. The Leaf launched in 2010 as one of the first mass market EVs initially sold well but quickly fell behind Tesla, Chevrolet, and even Hyundai in technology, range, and customer appeal. By 2024, Nissan was selling fewer than 15,000 Leafs annually in the US, while Tesla sold over 650,000 vehicles. The Ariya electric SUV, supposed to be Nissan's EV savior, launched to tepid reviews and minimal sales impact. Competitors like Hyundai, Kia, and Ford are eating Nissan's lunch in the EV transition. Nissan's operating profit margin in 2023 was under 1% compared to Toyota's 10%. Debt has ballooned to over $60 billion. Credit agencies downgraded Nissan's rating. Reports emerged of merger talks with Honda. For consumers, implications are massive. With over 1,000 U.S. dealerships, continued deterioration means closures and consolidation. Service and parts availability will suffer. Warranty support becomes questionable. Resale values will crater further. A 2020 Nissan Rogue that sold for $28,000 is now worth around $16,000. A 43% depreciation exceeding competitors. A 2021 Altima lost over 50% in 3 years. These are market signals that buyers see Nissan as risky. What makes Nissan's situation shocking? This company pioneered EVs with the Leaf, builds the legendary GT-R and still sells 3 million vehicles annually. Yet it is in crisis severe enough that management admits survival doubts. When automakers of Nissan's scale enter crisis, the risks are real. Restructuring, acquisition, or bankruptcy means questionable warranty support, shrinking service networks, and plummeting resale values. The legendary Japanese reliability is gone, replaced by uncertainty. 5 legendary car brands in collapse. From Maserati's volume gamble to Jaguar's bizarre reinvention, Alfa Romeo's unfulfilled promise to Chrysler's fade, and Nissan's shocking crisis despite massive sales. These are structural problems threatening automotive names decades or centuries old. When automakers struggle, owners bear consequences, depreciation accelerates, dealer networks shrink, service becomes harder. Parts scarce, warranty uncertain, your investment becomes a depreciating liability. Before buying any vehicle, especially from a brand showing financial stress, ask the hard questions. Is the dealer network stable or shrinking? What are resale values doing? What do reliability ratings actually show? Can you afford to own this vehicle if warranty coverage disappears or becomes harder to use? Because a good deal on a new car isn't a good deal if that car becomes an orphan vehicle in 5 years. Which brand shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this breakdown useful, hit that like button and subscribe for more automotive industry analysis that helps you make smarter buying decisions and avoid expensive mistakes.